Guys, I'm going to do one more video. And this, because me and a girlfriend have different things on TV, we're looking at all kind of stuff. And I was always a scrutinizer of the organized religion, all kind of stuff in biblical. And I don't want to call myself a diehard atheist or diehard religious fanatic, because I use a little bit of everything for a common good and try to see the good in everybody too. But this was some stuff I was always I wish that I would just put a camera in front of me or have somebody record me while I'm talking to the girlfriend or other people about this, or certain friends about this. But some of this stuff may piss people off and may enlighten some people too, because people don't want to hear it all. They're trying to act like, I don't want to stick up for atheists, I don't want to stick up for any religious domination, I don't want to be down on it. But I was just doing a video about the legacies of corruption. Every single thing, I don't care what it is, starts off for a common good, people take it over. And I'm going to want to use this video because I want to tie some coincidences that may not be coincidences. And what that Bible should tell you, that, and there's a way that there's conforming religion, certain shit you're not allowed to say, but yet I believe that the Bible does teach a lesson in this way. But if you say it in this way, some people will agree with you and it will piss some people off because there's a taboo about, like I says, I have beliefs different way. Like, did I tell you about Jesus Christ and why I can use my exercise videos by the band Celtic Frost and why I appealed to the artist on that Megatherion album with a Jesus like this. Some people were offended by it, but it looks to me like the artist wanted to say like Jesus, making a slingshot out of a Jesus icon, and it looks like it's like this and that horned beast, and that it should be able to tell you something. And at the same time, I bought that album had that album from Celtic Frost in tape, in cassette tape. It was like, at the same time, Van Damme's Cyborg was being played late at night repetitively on cable, you know, when I was a teenager, still living with the parents. And the dramatic, symphonic type things that started with the beginning of that album. Innocence and Wrath. Da, 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 da. Very dramatic, and that's another thing that crossed me into classical, and how I can listen to a lot to Ein Elohim and then the Chapel with Moonlight and why it's all good. And the other albums, Babylon Fell, and why I kind of was a big critic on organized religion. And at the same time, it's okay to listen to heavy metal, and how I may have lost certain followers on YouTube when I was a worse speaker. That I have kind of found things wrong with atheistic Satanism. And I eventually want to tell a video about how, one of my videos about gang stalking, and how, if any of you guys tune into me that may have subscribed to me that may have been in this Satanism thing and this atheistic Satanism. I mean, I saw people on there that they had some pretty cool taste like any other person, but talked about how when they were in school and nobody cared, and they brought a Satanist Bible right to school, and that did not happen to me. I was gang stalked relentlessly, but that video is coming up. But yet I had beliefs that, like I says, that like that Celtic Frost album cover, and I'm being a fan of that. I'm not going to speak for the band or any fans, but my belief is, I laugh at that, and I flip off the people. I say you can kiss my ass with that thing where in the Bible where the organized religions on TV claim to be for Christ, but yet they're glorifying like it's an ultimate test of faith that Abraham was going to here's a disembodied voice to tell him to sacrifice his son. Okay, and then I find little documentaries on different kind of religions that are doing terrorism, right, like ISIS and the Taliban, and find out that this particular, like this religion was, you know, the thing, the block they walk around, they're glorifying the freaking site where the disembodied voice, and he was going to sacrifice his own son. And my belief, I'm saying it's okay to believe in Jesus and okay to like that album cover of Celtic Frost, because I don't want to piss people off and say, oh, I involve in charities. I have charities in my own way, and I have unique beliefs, and I believe that I'm not anti-Jew. I'm definitely not. I actually, even in my classical collection, I had some, because I read so many things, and there were some things like music that I used to buy, like music of the Sephardic Jews, and there was things where I guess even, and then I even got into classical music. There was a historic thing I saw in a classical music station where the conductor Daniel Barenboim had Israelis and Palestinians do a concert together, playing together, and it got a standing ovation. And even I was playing it on the radio, and my mother overheard it, and she bitched about every damn thing. I used to listen to certain classical religious music that's different than hers to piss her off, not just heavy metal, right? And even my asshole mother overheard me listen to this on the radio and the standing ovation, and she even liked it. So, and the late Jacqueline Dupree, which I owned that wonderful DVD, which was his wife, and the end of that DVD about certain beliefs, where if you were to watch the whole DVD with Jacqueline Dupree, or check it out on YouTube, people keep posting it. If you get to the end of the whole concert, how they nodded to each other and they knew what each other was doing. Now, I mean, and then they play an end of that video where Daniel Barenboim and her are chasing each other, and the dog's chasing them in the background. The end of that DVD almost makes you want to believe, because it's a black and white DVD, it makes you want to believe that maybe Daniel Barenboim might die someday somehow, and maybe that scene might play out for real in a parallel universe where if you listen to heavy metal, or if you hate heavy metal, you're into Celtic Frost, and your people, your parents, different people don't like it, and you want to fucking believe that Daniel Barenboim might see Jacqueline Dupree with a dog at the end in a parallel universe and some happiness, it's okay. It's okay to like Jesus Christ, and it's okay to bash religion. But yet my thing is, if you get my point about my belief as far as Jesus Christ, I believe it was meant that people are glorifying all this sacrificial dogma, organized religions, right? They're glorifying that Abraham was going to sacrifice his own son. He was a disembodied voice, and it was a good thing. People shouldn't be glorifying, they're unwittingly glorifying that because it's being biblically correct. And I believe a version of Christianity, especially organized Christianity, should be phasing that out, because, like I said, this is not to be anti-Jew at all. Matter of fact, when the Jesus thing came in the picture, when Herod was trying to kill Jesus Christ, before he was even coming in the picture, the sacrificial thing was a money maker. They wanted to keep that going, and they were selling it. And not only was it Jews, you can't blame everything on Jews just because they're Jewish and hate people because they're Jewish. The other people that didn't like the Jews in the Bible were sacrificing too, and they too, I don't give a fuck what nationality it was, people were sacrificing to Moabites. You got people were even saying things about Bohemian Grove now. You know, I mean, that Bohemian Grove thing. They all made fucking money. And then, yes, there was Christian and inquisitions, and Christians were getting killed in inquisitions, and certain Christians were getting killed in these inquisitions, and people that weren't Christian the way they were expected to be Christian were being killed in these inquisitions. Well, I actually looked at the beginning of the movie, one of them, I think it was the first Elizabeth movie with Kate Blanchett, where these ones were being shaved, the two women and children, they're showing blood being put in the spot, shaving their heads. No, I heard God's voice, and they were being burned at the stake for being a Christian this way and not this way, or Catholics and Christians not liking each other, even in the days of the barbarians. But anyway, even all kind of bad shit happened, and just like in the Celtic Frost of Dogma Megiddo, the cross has failed. You won't see the coming fall. Is it really, you could say that any way you want, is it really against Christ? Yes, in one way the cross has failed, and another way it didn't fail. It's all how the fuck you look at it, because, yes, it didn't stop all the impalings, all these inquisitions, all this shit. But it was meant to people to transcend and do away with all this blood sacrificial dogma, which organized religion shouldn't even be glorified. It was obedient to take it that Holy of Holies. I'm not against anybody, Jewish or anything. You could kiss my ass with that shit. That they had to have a rope, and if you did something wrong, that God struck you down. People will. Well, anyway, let's put this to you a certain way. The reason why that other shit before Christ's original function did not fucking work is because people gave over and will sacrifice an animal with a smile on their face if they think it's going to erase their sins. Which, how the fuck was that ever going to do it? They were selling that too, because the days of that, in the Bible, these people it was money makers, so you bring your own sacrifice. If you're a farmer, you could have it, it's no blemish, right? But then they could say, oh, it's flawed. We will, you gotta buy one, your sacrifice is flawed that you have on your farm. You're supposed to give something toward your flock and sacrifice in that temple. And then, it's flawed. You know what? Disqualified, but you got to buy one of ours. So I'm trying to say you're a heavy metal or Christian fanatic, you missed the whole fucking point. And not only that, even though you can't prove this to a certain extent, but I believe this happened. And while we're at, you buy one of our things to sacrifice, right? But since this one's blemished and you have it right here instead of taking it home, we'll just take it off your hands. And we won't even give you a discount for the sacrifice that we're selling you. And the next person, they play that game with the next, this was fucking going on. The next person in line comes on, a few maybe people away. Oh, do the same procedure I talked to you about again, right? Oh, your sacrifice is invalid. Well, you can buy one of ours. And guess what? That next guy, they probably sold that next guy the animal that they took off of these person's hands that was blemished, so to speak, and sold it to somebody else. So there's a false image of Jesus that people rebelling against their family. I mean, I'm not a fanatic. I'm trying to salvage Jesus. What it means to me is they're always going to, any kind of religious icon, they're going to exploit their name, and you're going to have self-proclaimed religious people that are, I don't give a fuck, it's the Unification Church. You get some person in some fucking costume with his wife, fucking Unification Church, and these dumbasses are following them. Fucking Scientology, and then the Catholic Churches that was a legacy back in the Roman era. Narcissistic Roman people back in the days of fucking Caligula. That they were doing all kind of shit. It took fucking centuries for anybody to reveal it. Jesus Christ, And you can say, when you talk about these things too, yes, you can. It's okay when you see something bad going on, you can say, Jesus Christ. The difference between taking Christ's name in vain and being an asshole about it, you can see somebody's pet or a person that didn't deserve to die in a certain way or in a plane crash. You go, oh, Jesus Christ. You're not taking a name in vain. You're literally, it's all in the tone of how it's said. I mean, I read Conan the Barbarian comics where before even Arnold Schwarzenegger was Conan. Raw. I don't know, this is a bunch of random shit going on but anyway, I believe, to a certain point that that there was a if you want to believe that somebody that was actually immortal came down to put himself over or next to a thief with somebody. It wasn't just like the Christians say, like your mommy and daddies, the religiously correct said. There was a function, that it was meant to try to stop in its tracks these this ritualistic sacrificial shit, which, yes, I am not denying there was inquisitions of all kind of different murders in the name of Christ and certain people that died. There's so many people that were pagans that got killed, but yet our holidays were merged into paganism. But there was a design where not just Jews and just Moabites, when Christianity was first being introduced, it wasn't going, yeah, all that shit was going to happen, but when it was first introduced, there were a lot of people of different beliefs that all kind of people were selling sacrifices to whatever other crazy gods that they were sacrificing bleeding animals to, you know? And there was a part where some parts of Christianity was a threat because they were fucking selling them. So you've got to, but it's a lot of shit to get your head around, you know what I mean? But yet, you know, at the same time, you know, assholes were taking care of, a lot of things were going on. But yeah, I still believe, yeah, it's okay to read the books of Enoch, and it's okay to look in the Genesis, the Jubilees, the little Genesis, which, unlike the Holy Bible that you're taught to conform to, happens in your thing to the version of Moses and the plagues, right, with Pharaoh. The book of Jubilees says, when all the powers of Mastema were let loose to kill the firstborn of Pharaoh. It makes a lot of fucking sense because people arguing, why would a loving God do this and that? There is a destroyer. There is, whatever you believe, there is a destroyer where things are permitted. And there is somebody that will do the dirty work, a bringer of diseases, wipe out and purges, that no group is meant to take that out their own hands. But yet something will always happen. We could be due for another cataclysm. And look at the coincidences with, which I wanted to say too about the book of Job. Look at Job, Solomon, and the, you ever see those documentary on the Forbidden City? And some of the things that if you're along in this video that you're not allowed to say, which I believe Job was taught a lesson. But what you're not allowed to say that Job actually was kind of like Solomon. He became corrupt. And what does Job, Solomon, and Pharaoh's, and that Forbidden City fucking have in common? Well, in Job, there was a meteor shower that killed a lot of things. And then raiders came and took all Job's property, and he had to decide that, you know what, money and wealth and having all kind of concubines don't matter. You're going to die someday and you're going to have nothing. But then Solomon, people glorified Solomon in a certain way. Solomon was one of them, you know. In the Testament of Solomon, they said how he interrogated these demons and all that. Very wonderful read. One demon literally that he interrogated, literally told him I was going to fall, and then he was just like the guy in the Forbidden City that you should look at. He was a woman hoarder, okay, you know, and just like Job. Well, Job had it where a meteor fell, and a meteor fell in that Forbidden City. Well, this guy in the Forbidden City, he was a woman hoarder too, and he had these people where he had their balls cut off. They were called eunuchs, that they were to guard all his women that he wasn't even going to have time to mess with. But then later he found out that still, even with their balls cut off, that they were flirting and talking. They were, you know, because they were bored. They were just locked up in that thing all that time. So he got mad. He was a narcissistic, sociopathic idiot. So just because a couple of them were, he executed and murders them all. But you know, so you're looking at a legacy of these woman hoarders, and I don't care. You people you glorify in the Bible. I think Job, at a certain point, that, you know, with or without all this gold concubines, you still had God. But Solomon fell. He compromised with Moloch over one. And that one demon told him so. You know, in the Testament of Solomon, he says, sacrificed a locust or something to Moloch. I'm just trying to introduce some cool read. You know, I read Baruch, Maccabees, Judith, who cut the head off of Holofernes while he was drunk. I love that story because Judith, went down there. You see the whole story. And he got all drunk. He says, hey baby, and all that. She was trying to save, her city from siege, and they had no water. Well, anyway, he thought he was going to get himself some, and he got drunk. She cut off his own head. They might have freaked everybody out and thought she was a witch, but every time I hear Judith, that story of Judith, I keep looking at the album cover of the Judy Collins album, Judith, and I'm thinking, did she look like that picture of Judy Collins on that Judy Collins album that was also called Judith? I don't know, but big eyes, I don't know. But the fact that, that Judith in that Catholic Bible, you had Judith, Maccabees, Tobit, Baruch, which was fucking Jeremiah's buddy, that you're not loved. I don't know. I got real bored. I listened to heavy metal. I found my grandmother's Catholic Bible. I love to fucking read shit, but the idea of a woman like that in that circumstance in the book of Judith, just while we would just hack off the head of Holofernes, made a, I don't know, whether it was just mythical, but it was rather interesting. Wow, bloodshed and carnage, awesome. In some weird way, I mean, a lot of really fun to read, you know what I mean? But anyway, you look at that, the guy with the Forbidden City you read about. I think there was a thing on the History Channel. They said he was saying to his God, "What did I do wrong?" I think somebody in the History Channel, the narrator, was saying that, and yeah, and like you couldn't, and I'm thinking like, damn, dude, he couldn't have figured it out. So people will be scripturally correct with their King James Bible. Look at fucking history. Look at all these people. They're glorifying that we're just woman hoarders, and they were gold hoarders, and they were like, they killed for certain conveniences. They had these slaves, and they had so much fucking cattle that the people that were supposed to be guarding it might have carried it away, no different than when Rome fell. And then in the book of Job, you had this indication that raiders, they had so much shit they couldn't guard it, raiders were carrying it away. Somewhere along time in the book of Job, a meteor shower came and blew things up. But, holy shit. So then you look at this Forbidden City. Look how many of these, look how many civilizations and different races of people that we don't know about. So many different people that you don't know about because they were just entirely wiped out in all these wars. Like they said, circle of the tyrants. And the hunts and the wars were like everlasting shadows. And before that, I remember seeing Conan the Barbarian, how there were sweeps, and Conan was a young kid, and those slave raiders just killed his own family and his mother, James Earl Jones. James Earl Jones was an actor. He played the guy that was the serpent set. Killed his family, and slave raiders, and he was taken away. A wonderful story. And that guy that originally created Conan, that he eventually killed himself and committed suicide, he saw human nature and the way the fucking world was and what it is, and it was in his stuff. And, long live that guy. I read him as a kid, a nerdy kid, a savage sort of Conan, King Conan, before, and I remember being slightly excited seeing in a newspaper that Arnold Schwarzenegger was going to be in a Conan movie that came out, and it was on TV. Then finally getting to see it, Conan comics, that's how Conan comics shaped your thinking, and thinking about barbarians and warlords and everything. And you grew up with the Bible. Your grandmother might have been Catholic. Your mother might have been a Christian that screamed, swears, and chain smokes. This shit shaped all the shit I'm talking about. Apocalyptic heavy metal. And doesn't mean you're bad. You still make choices, to commit crime or do something other than commit crime. To do this or to do that. And that's the way that is,